Oh, look, that person saved a puppy today. And oh, that person did skydiving today. And oh no, of course I didn't do as good as these people. That you, beloved child of this universe, or God, if that's how you choose to say it, are beautiful, you're empowered, you are worthy. And then understand why you behave the way you behave, or why you're willing to press through bad behavior or press through someone else's bad behavior. Like, okay. And then take away bad, because that's a judgment, and say press through someone else's behavior.
Welcome to Emotionally Unavailable, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of emotional availability and intimacy. I'm your host, Melissa Hepner, and I can't tell you how excited I am to have you join me on this journey of self-discovery and connection. Whether you're navigating the complexities of relationships or exploring your own emotional landscape, this podcast is here to inspire, empower, and entertain. So get cozy and let's explore the depths of human emotions together. All right, guys, happy Wednesday. Today's guest is David Allen Brown. I'm really excited for this episode. We had such a good conversation, and I just feel really connected to him. Yeah, it was lovely, and I know that's kind of a silly word, but it really was. Okay, so David Allen Brown has been teaching personal empowerment, leadership, organizational development, self-discovery, and spirituality to audiences across the country for more than 30 years. He's the author of many books, including Answer the Call, What to Do When Spirit Arrives to Transform Your Life, and The Self-Help Paradox. He frequently leads classes and services at progressive congregations, including more than a decade of service at the Thought Unity Center of Cincinnati and churches from Florida to Minnesota, Arizona to New York. He also facilitates and consults for corporations and nonprofit organizations, leading programs on leadership, culture, authenticity, presentation skills, and staff development. David holds a BFA from New York University, is a fan of auto racing, writes and evaluates live theater, and coaches writers and storytellers. His most recent publication is an online course, Convergence, which teaches people how to recognize and regulate their inner voices to live intentionally each day and manifest their goals. He's here to talk with us about how this became his life's work, how he integrates it into his daily life, and what makes it special. I am including links to his website, to his Instagram, and to the starting point for listeners to learn more about his program and purchase it. And when you buy the course, you also become members of an ongoing community that meets virtually to discuss progress in the course, receive new lessons, and practice the convergent conversation. I'm excited. I know you guys are going to get a lot from this. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to these stories. Thank you for listening to me. Just thanks for being a part of this community. I haven't made a PSA about ads on the last couple of episodes, so just please be patient with ads. I try not to place too many 2 in a rows. And, you know, we won't know how much income it's generating until the end of July. So, you know, there may be more ads. I don't know. I'm just doing my best over here, guys. It's a way to, you know, keep me from charging guests to come on, which is an actual thing that people do. It's ridiculous. Or charging, like, you guys for, like, a Patreon subscription or whatever. I'm just doing what I can to generate income. So just please be patient and listen to the ads. Okay, I have the hiccups. I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday. Here's me and David Allen Brown. Emotionally unavailable. Hi, how are you?
Hello there.
I love is that a real background?
Oh, I can't hear you. Hold on. Oh, try it now. It was me.
Can you hear me?
I can. It was my fault.
Okay. Is that a real background? Probably
no.
Okay.
I wish.
So
that's
pretty.
my dream apartment. Boy, I wish.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Oh, yeah. We'll just put it up so we can just manifest it. Let's just make that it.
Thank you. Exactly. This is our reality for now. Okay.
That's right. Yep. Yes.
That's right. Man, I don't even know where to start with you. So I'm going to say this.
Okay.
I've started kind of warning people about how I do things because it can get alarming or jarring if you don't know. I've already pressed record, so I probably will not edit out a single ounce of anything,
Okay.
including this exchange.
Right.
I do a separate intro to the episode whenever I'm about to post it. I will make sure everything's read there. I put any links you want in the show notes. You will be featured to the most degree then. But for this, it's just a totally organic conversation.
Love it.
Okay, I'm so excited. So I was reading your profile, and the reason I said I don't know where to start is because I'm like, oh, it generated too much. Like I was like, oh, I have so many thoughts. And I feel like it was very similar. Like our paths have been similar, except like you said, your early life was pretty chill. Mine was the exact opposite.
Okay.
But we both reached this point in our lives where something had to change.
Yeah.
And it seems like we've been developing the techniques for, you know what I mean, to do that. And I'm so interested to hear about this thing you call convergence, correct?
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah, because it seems like you talk a lot about inner dialogue, and that was actually the thing that made me wanted to die, because like my inner dialogue at that time was so nasty. It was just all the programming, that I had received from everyone else. I didn't know what my voice sounded like. So I wondered if that was the beginning of this, was like you learning to attune to what was real and what was programmed.
Yeah, a little bit. And it's become a common question of like, well, how do I trust that voice, or how do I recognize that it is the voice? And so I really did a lot of thinking about that. And what I realized, because I mean, I really have settled on there being like 3 primary experiences. And so people say, oh yeah, but what about that 4th voice that comes in? And what I realized is, no. For me, it's not that there's additional voices. It's that after periods of what you call like the programming or neglect or hurt or pain, those experiences within us, I mean, those voices get a little spicy. Like they're
and so, they don't 100% ever go away. I mean, they've been programmed deep into your subconscious. They're going to come up sometimes.
Right. And so part of it was, honestly, the first step was, and I used therapy to help with this, was both shutting down the spiciness, but then I integrated my own thought, which was shutting it down with loving thought.
Yeah.
Which was like an example was, I used to be really frustrated with my emotion, when my emotions got out of control. And it was like, oh, and then in would come the spicy, oh, you're so weak. Oh, you're not supposed to do that. Oh, why can't you bear it? If you don't have it that bad, like your life is good, And instead, I translated that voice into, I'm so impressed that you care so much that this makes you mad.
I love this. Yeah.
Right. It's amazing that you're so passionate about this issue that it brings you to your knees. Like that's like good for you. And so the voice is, what I learned was, when one of them is spicy or all of them are spicy, it still comes from within, the ability to sort of like lovingly work through.
Well, yeah, because it really is only there to try to protect you. It's doing a very bad job. Well, sort of. Its function is working, but it doesn't make you feel good. But yeah, I call that quieting the noise, like learning how to deal with that. But I love what you're saying, because I had to learn all this love and compassion for myself, which means too, and this is still a work for me, when those things come up that I know don't serve me, for a while, I was very dismissive of them. Like, oh, we don't do that or whatever. And now, like, it started with, hey, I see you. Like, I thank you for trying to protect me. And then I got a little too big for my britches. Honestly, I thought there was some bypassing there, where I thought I could just basically revert back to old patterns of just shutting, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so I've kind of come back to the compassion piece, which is, I see you, like, clearly there's a part of me that hasn't caught up. I'm going to invite you to be in this space with me. Like, just talking lovingly, because resistance keeps us stuck, and shoving shit down is a form of resistance. So like, just talk to, I love it. I love it, because you're like, how crazy people think we are sometimes about how much we talk to ourselves.
Oh,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Oh, and I do it out loud, so you should see the
Me
looks
too,
I
babe.
get.
Me too. And I
Yeah.
teach clients to do that. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, maybe it is crazy, but you know what? I'm the happiest I've ever been.
Absolutely, yeah. And I love what you were saying about the shutting down and how damaging that can be. And you use the word bypassing, and let me add a phrase that I use a lot in my work, which is spiritual bypassing.
Mm-hmm.
I found myself really trapped in the pain, frankly, of well, if I was more spiritual, I wouldn't be feeling this way. Or,
Yeah.
if I knew how to
If
meditate,
I was really tapped in. Mm-hmm.
right, exactly, yeah. Or, my goal should just be to rise above this, and it's just like, oh, and so even the
No, this
inspiration,
is the everyday struggle for me. You're speaking
yes,
my language. It's every day. I'll get trapped in a human experience really bad. And then I'm like, but that's okay, Melissa, because you are here to have a human experience. But
right.
like, I met somebody yesterday that I was like, really? Because they're like, no, I have no struggles in life anymore because they're very spiritual. And I was like, well, I'm having actually a particularly shitty day. So, and I was having the worst morning ever. And so I was like, really? No struggles. That's exactly what I said too. Really? No struggles.
Yeah.
Okay. But I feel like that's a form of bypassing. And I feel like it is our mission, in essence, to anchor into this experience while being tapped into the understanding that there is something bigger and greater than any of this.
Right.
And that's what we're doing here. But we have to be humans.
We are humans, and that is it's part of the evolution of understanding these voices, and why it's called convergence, because it is about the three elements of our human experience, one of which is very spiritual, is higher power, is however you define it, this great energy that surrounds us. But if you're stuck only there, and to the person who says, I have no problem, no struggles, like, bless you, I'm so glad. And have you taken this spiritual knowledge that you have, and are you applying it to your role in the world, which is to make it better for everyone else, and to serve, and to integrate, and to be a part, and stand up for justice, and to do all of the things that we're also called to do? Because when we return to a spiritual plane, if you believe in that sort of thing, that's when you'll be 100% spiritual. I hear what you're saying, which is, well, right now I'm a human, capable.
That's what I keep telling myself. Do you have to remind yourself of that a lot still?
So you mean like every day?
Yeah.
Every hour?
I guess it's silly to have to ask people that, but like, any reassurance I can get that it's okay to still be so doubtful sometimes. So, like I will have those moments of having a very wonderful, ever since yesterday morning, things turned around. I'm having, I'm back in. But like, I can really struggle. And then my natural tendency is to then sort of apply a little bit of shame for that fear, for that doubt. I still get really bogged down in old religious teachings about the punishment versus reward of all of it. Like, if you're living a good life, you will receive rewards. If you're living a bad life, and my big struggle is still working through believing in myself very subconsciously. Consciously, I believe in myself, but like, obviously there's some programming and the worthiness, like that I've been good enough, or that there isn't anything I've done to be the reason that I haven't reached the level of success that I'm striving for. But that programming's deep. Like, you haven't been good enough. You haven't been good enough.
Yeah, we can run with that. I don't really want to, because it scares me, but that's one that I have with you too, with me, just the worthiness. And it was a huge part of the sort of transformation, the rediscovery of myself for the past 5 years. And the worthiness part, and it's ongoing. I think, and I hear you saying that shame is one of yours. I have remnants of that, but the other one that comes in for me is judgment. And so, I'll be back on track feeling like things are going, and then there's just that little voice, but yeah, was it enough? Or did you, how did you do it? Or what are people thinking about you right now?
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes like the most insidious ones is like, did you do enough good today? And it's like, it pokes me on, well, of
That
course I
one's
want to be a
just
good
mean.
person. Right. I know.
Like, how do you
And
measure whether or not you did enough good? Like,
yeah, right.
I think
Yeah.
that, no, probably not.
Sure.
Like,
Well,
if
and
that's going to be
especially
your
if then I start
default.
strolling and I see people, oh, look, that person saved a puppy today. And oh, that person did skydiving today. And oh no, of course I didn't do as good as these people. And it's like, okay, settle down. Let's just get back to what we know. And we're doing the best we can.
And
okay.
That's truly it, isn't it? I love that we're just connecting so much on this, like where we do this thing, we get all up in a tizzy, and then it's like, and what do you know to be the truth?
Right.
Like, what's the truth? Let's sit in the truth for a little bit. Let's rest all of this.
Right. And let's sit in our truth. And so sometimes I start with what that is around me. But when I'm really ready to do the work, it starts with, well, let's be grateful for what's around me. And then I can go to a place of remembering that my truth is true. And that's all I need to know. It doesn't need to be affirmed by others. It doesn't have to be reflected. It doesn't have the quid pro quo that you were talking about, like you'll get rewarded. It's just, I know what I know. It was one of my mom's favorite phrases. And she used it in terms of like, not really gossip, but like, the people next door or something that happened at work, or, you're never quite sure that she's like, look, I know what I know. And I've taken that into, like, I use that often, which, I know what I know. And sometimes it's like, I know that I did good. I know that I made a difference. I know that I, saw kindness today and enacted okay. Yeah. Well, who told you you didn't? No, I know what I know.
Exactly. And, like, some people call that level of knowing like a Claire, but it's my second nature to know. Like, I've always been that way, but I did used to doubt it much more because I was taught to. Like, like we really were, as a species, taught that it's not true unless enough people, not even one other person, but enough people also say it's true.
Yeah.
And I think we're in an age now where we're all learning to just sit in our own knowing and to be really comfortable. If nobody else ever agrees, it's okay.
Yeah. And I think that it's scary for us as a society because we know that it's a fine edge, because if you start to know things that are damaging, or you're starting to expect everyone else to behave a certain way because I know what I know, or you're starting to impose upon other people, that is scary. And we see some of that happening, and it's like, why don't you go find the facts on that? Why don't you go study up on that? And so that's a different realm than what you and I are
absolutely. And you know what? That's an excellent distinction. It really is, because some people know some crazy shit that probably ain't real. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And they're imposing it on other people.
Oh, they sure are too, because they just know it so much. They know it so much. But we're talking about truth in our own experiences, and your own personal truth is never to be imposed on somebody else. That's what we're saying. It's the whole point is to be so comfortable that nobody can impose their will upon you, and you don't have a need to impose yours on others.
Right. Yes. And we start with the truths of our experience or what we're doing on this human level. But then when I really need to get centered, I go to truth, capital T truth, the truth that's true for everyone and everyone that I come in contact with, that you, beloved child of this universe, or God, if that's how you choose to say it, are beautiful, you're empowered, you are worthy to all of the gifts that energy provides. And most fundamentally, you're worthy of love and unconditional love, and that you have the ability to both provide that for yourself and for others. These are the things that I know that I know. And so even if I have to go back to a misstep or a relationship flummox or whatever, I can always recenter. Some people do it with very intentional meditation. There's lots of ways to do it. What's the truth? And of course, the sticking point is that some people don't do that work you have to be able to come back to the truth. Like you have to tell yourself a story and get to that. It's truly a feeling. I mean, it's an om in the Eastern religions. You know, it's that place of oneness. It's that connectedness. That takes some work, like you were talking about.
It does.
You know, but once you have heard that bell one time, then you can find the methods in your life to bring you back to there, you know, and get to that center.
Yeah, that's been where I forget sometimes is I'm living very like in the presence. I'm doing really good at that, but I can sometimes be white knuckling through experiences, and I will learn that in retrospect when it's done and all the relief is there and, you know, the good thing. And I can be like, I love to look back and go, what could I have done differently? I could have remembered to go in and tap into that more. But I'm really trying, but it really is for me, like, how do I want to feel?
Yeah.
Because you can get in the energy of whatever experience you want anytime.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. Like, I mean, I imagine you're sharing my Instagram or whatever, but like my last 2 video posts were about those exact 2 things, which is one is we have to know what we want and how, which includes how we feel. I said that literal line. Are you sure we're not connected somehow?
I told you, I felt an instant connection.
And then the one prior to that was the same thing, walking through the park. I'm in the midst of like a major, wonderful, incredible, like thing that I'm trying to pull off right now, which is that I relocated from the Midwest to New York City. It's always been my dream to do it. And it doesn't make any sense at all. Like at my age and with my background and where my career is and the whole thing.
Makes sense to me.
Exactly. And it makes me super, super happy. And that's what I'm finding is the thing. Meanwhile, lots of thinking and talking and working through. And that previous video was me walking through the park and say, when I'm asking, because sometimes it's not telling, sometimes it's asking, the thing that I keep getting is invite me in more. And it's from that spiritual side of me. Like, just keep inviting me here. Just keep inviting me here. And it's kind of what you were just saying, that sense of like, yeah, it is intentional. Because I find that the energetic level, the Holy Spirit level, it's always there. And it's providing for me constantly. And so I can be grateful for what has come to me. But when I put intention into that, when I invite it in and say, oh, well, integrate into my human experience, oh, that's when it just, you know, that's when miraculous things happen. Because we're required. Our involvement is required.
Yes. And I don't know why. And actually, I wasn't going to tell you this, but a minute ago, whenever I was talking, I had a very sudden realization that the times that I get quiet and I don't communicate with my higher self and really tap in, I think it's because I'm a little mad at her. I'm a little resentful of her in that moment. And I didn't realize that. I just realized as I was talking and saying like, oh yeah, I need to tap in more. I like understood why I wasn't. So thank you for helping me break through that. But
and
I mean, that's the thing.
Of course. And that's that one of the other voice. So we talked about the sort of the inspiration, the higher power voice. Another one is the instinctual emotional side. That's stuff that's going on because we're pure human, and some of it's chemistry and some of it's programming, but it's just that stuff that sort of pops up. I think maybe what you just said falls into that a little bit. Like, all of a sudden I'm a little resentful. I didn't know why. The remarkable thing is, and the other one, by the way, is the action taking and a little bit of the intellect, but mostly the action taking one, the thing that does stuff. So when that happens to me, that voice, that instinctual voice is a little spicy, like, there's some resentment there. What does it need? And that's sometimes the question. And it doesn't, and sometimes my emotional self can't ask that question. That's why there's 3 voices. Because then the action voice, then the intellect will say, is there something we should be doing right now that would really help you in this instance? You know, is there an action we could take? Is there an atonement or an empowerment or a question? And always comes flooding in the Holy Spirit side or the inspirational side, which will say, oh, dear child, feel what you're feeling. I still love you. I will be here when you're ready. Let me know how I can show you. And then that eases the pain.
Yeah. And let me tell you how that it manifests in my life. Please. I have PMDD. So I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's basically the whole 2 weeks after I ovulate until I have my period.
Okay.
It's a PMS, but it's like extraordinary. There's a lot of it's very well controlled now, but for a long time it was very out of control and it's very depressive and just very dark.
Wow.
Every month. But because I've learned how to control kind of the way my brain works, I can manage it really well. But during that time, that's when that particular set of thoughts will start again. And my like spiritual self, my higher self, that just very loving, like, no, that is not like, this is just happening because like, this is just your emotions. This is just because hormones for women, that causes so much overthinking. If we haven't learned how to experience feelings instead of thinking about them and intellectualizing them and minimalizing them and trivializing them to death, then you're just caught in a spiral at all times. I've learned how to manage that, but it's still every single month. The thoughts come from the emotions, and then I can just tend to that and be like, these don't have to make sense, and we're going to stop trying to make sense because they don't make sense. And I'm not. But I used to try to. I'd lean in. Lean into that shit. And every month I'd be miserable. And now I'm like, we don't talk to ourselves like that. No,
right. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to invite you to do one thing though that I just heard in your speech pattern, if it's okay.
Okay.
All right. You're using the word just a lot.
Okay.
Oh, it's just your chemicals. Oh, it's just your emotions. Oh, it's just, and that's a minimizing term.
Ooh,
I don't know if you're aware of that. When you say that, like I used to do running quite a bit. And I got all the way a half marathon. And when you're training, you're up to like 8 miles or whatever. And then on your off days, you'd say, I just did 4 miles.
Yes. And
I used to run. My brother finally said, what do you ran 4 miles? Like take the just, it's a limiting.
You're right.
Rate.
You're right.
And so when you're having those conversations, it's not just your emotions. It's your emotions and we still love you. It's a tricky word, and we use it a lot.
No, you're right. And I was just thinking, wow, that is another way that sneaky stuff is happening in your life. Like how I always say, like perfectionism is very sneaky.
Oh.
I uncover new ways that I'm holding myself to a cross of perfectionism. But this is a new way I'm learning that I minimalize my experiences.
That's right. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah.
Thank you for telling me that.
Yeah, it's just something that when I was finally taught it, and I know I fall into it, but it's just something I have an ear for, and I love it. And I just see, now it's in my head.
Well, exactly, and we're so trained to do we were taught as children to minimalize our experiences. This is rub some dirt on it, walk it off. Right. If you are, the silent generation, I understand why they lived the way they lived. Wow, I don't know that I would have wanted to experience a lot of what they experienced. But then the way that has really come down through the generations, the boomers, the Gen X, I'm like a Zennial. So we were all taught, rub dirt on it, walk it off. And someone else always has it worse. It doesn't, like, that was how we were comforted as children, is to say, there's always somebody else who has something way better. Your dad died. Well, her, da, la, 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 la. You know what I mean? Like, what? But we do this. And so we're just naturally attuned to do that to ourselves too. And man, there's not a single trivial experience on this earth.
No,
it's all crazy.
That, and it's designed to pay attention to. And so, when I got serious about therapy, I'd been in therapy for a while, but then finally I was like, I found a good therapist. Number one, that's a big thing. Interview your therapist, know what you need, go in prepared. But two was I finally decided to get really real about it too. But I remember one of the first things that I said early on was, I feel bad that I feel bad. Yeah. Like, look at me, child of privilege. Living in a pretty great situation with family and in the suburbs and all the things everybody's supposed, like exactly what you were saying. There's people who deserve to feel bad, and I don't feel bad, and I feel bad that I feel bad.
It actually stuck out to me in your profile that you said that your life started privileged. Because when I work with clients, I don't know if you know I'm a therapist, but
Yeah.
that I hear them not understanding that, like, we all have the same wounds. They may have
Mm.
been created a little differently, but most of them weren't. Like, maybe your abuse wound is not like big like mine, but I guarantee you, you experienced the same betrayal we all did, which is when you learn that your parents aren't superhuman. And you know what I mean? Like, when
Yeah.
you first get the experience that the people who brought you into this world can't protect you from every last thing that happens, and they can't throw a car off of you or save you from a robber or whatever, and you start to understand, like, you really aren't as safe as you felt like you were. That's
Right.
probably the ultimate betrayal that a child feels.
Yeah.
So we all have that
Right.
in common, whatever your experience was with your parents. And we all have neglect because none of our parents knew how to tend to us emotionally. So maybe we don't have physical neglect, but we all have huge neglect wounds. And I'll argue that to death, because hello, if nobody knows how to walk you through an important emotional developmental milestone, how do you not have that?
Precisely.
So why we don't need to villainize or minimize. We can love our parents and say they did the best they could, whilst I'll still say my grandma, who was primarily in charge of caring for me, while I have peace about it all now, she was a narcissistic bitch. She was.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't have to hate her for it anymore. It is what it
Precisely.
is.
Yeah.
But it was what it was. And I can honor the fact that I had those experiences.
Absolutely. And I love the work that you're doing with people and helping people. And I think part of what I hear you saying is one of the great decisions, ongoing decisions about adulthood, but like being a human is, okay, now I have this knowledge. What am I going to do with it?
Absolutely.
And so I found that, again, with a good therapist, finally getting to that point of, okay, so how much are we going back to explain or to figure out? And when are we going to, or how often are we going to turn that corner into, okay, but where am I? What am I going to do with this knowledge?
Right.
I love hearing you say, okay, so I can know that's true and still love. That's the greatest calling we have as human beings, is to understand the flaws in the human experience and still love them divinely and unconditionally.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a beautiful place to go. And it takes work, and
it's taken a very long time, and I'm not judging
Sure.
anyone who's not there. Please understand
that. Absolutely.
It honestly took working with a medium for a second too, because all of my family's dead. So it took me a minute to get there because I was really harboring some stuff. But I think I got, when I look at it from a spiritual standpoint, my human self is like, no, you were a narcissist, and I get how it happened, but you messed me up a little bit. But my spiritual self sees her, and I just see my parents and her as people who just didn't pass the test. They didn't. It was too hard. And as a person who almost didn't pass the test myself, how can I not love them? How can I not have compassion for them? Right. I really was in the darkest place of my life just a couple of years ago. So yeah, I almost didn't make it. I can appreciate their circumstances and how they became who they became. And I do feel their love and support on the other side. Like they didn't do what they were supposed to do in this side. So they're helping me from the other side. And I feel a lot of peace around those relationships. Right. But everything in my life changed when I learned how to love myself. Because I didn't realize, David, that I was hurting my own feelings all day, every day, because I felt like nobody loved me. I loved everybody more than they loved me. I was on the periphery of all of my relationships. By design, I didn't let anyone in. I pushed everyone away. I made sure that we focused on them and not me, so that I never even had to think about what was happening in my life. But I mean, it literally took a horoscope saying, you may want to just address the dissatisfaction in your life for me to be like, light bulb, I'm the problem here.
Well, and I'm also the solution here. But
absolutely.
And sometimes that's what I'm avoiding. You mean I have to do the work? You mean, oh my God, why could someone else please carry this brick for me for just a little while? And it's like, no, they won't. I have a manuscript, which is a memoir. We do have very similar stories. 5 years ago, I was in my darkest place. I was getting to that point and was really struggling. And anyway, the second chapter is what I reimagined was the vomiting onto the floor of my therapist, the one that I went to that finally helped. And I told him all the stories. I'm a stay-at-home dad, and I've been taking care of my kids, and I'm doing this, and all my daughter has extreme anxiety, and my son's transgender, and I got all, and this and that, and I'm taking care of family, and it's the whole thing. And at the end, he's like, there is an old adage about you can't take care of other people if you aren't taking care of yourself. And I said, I don't know what the fuck that means. And I was like, because I sure seem to be doing it. And
yeah, really? Like, because they're all being fucking taken care of. So go ahead and tell me how.
So yeah, tell me how this works. And then he was like, so why are you here again? And I was like, oh, right. Yeah.
My bad.
Okay. I mean, that's where I was from interpersonal, and your phrase just landed right on my heart, which was the putting everybody at a distance, putting them first so that they didn't have to look back on me, or I didn't have to look on me. Just all of those tactics that we use to avoid the hard work. And I mean, everybody listening needs to understand that there's times these things are hard, and loving unconditionally is sometimes so much easier for the bus driver than it is for your partner or for your parent. And practicing loving the stranger on the street gets you to that place of being able to do it and open up more and understand the power of it. And so, yeah, it does take work. But boy, hearing your sense of like, man, that's how I behaved in order to keep it all out there.
It was laughable to me after I discovered it. Like, well, they never asked me about da-da-da. And then immediately recounting at least 5 times somebody asked me about me, and I was annoyed at the way they asked. So I was like, no. And even now, just learning how to even have serious conversations, like to share. It's still hard to give somebody my shit in real time, because what I was famous for was, no, everything's fine. Processing, I'm going to put that in quotes, on my own, Once it's passed, then I'd be like, boy, last week was rough. I mean, I was really wanting to die, and I would tell them, but in a funny way, in a disconnected way. In real time, I'm learning how to share. And it is different, for sure. It is different and very scary, but I'm hearing all the time the things that I used to say to myself to push people away. Like, it'll happen, but I'm so aware of it now. And I'm like, oh man, what a gift to be able to finally isolate and hear what I was saying to myself to protect myself from these people. But to your point about love and compassion and the unconditional nature of it all, I think for me, it really changed when I realized, well, no wonder you couldn't receive love from others, because you didn't love yourself, not an ounce. Right. Which is not something I knew. I was over here like, you got to love yourself, not loving myself at all.
Right.
Because I didn't realize where I was, shaming myself for not being perfectionist, like all these things.
Yeah.
But when I felt the love for myself for the first time, like experienced that, I was like, this is the only love there actually is. And it's this feeling, this thing that I share with others. So of course I couldn't receive it. I didn't have it to share. And I no longer believe in a difference between the love types, friend, marriage partner, whatever. Like, it's all the same love. So if you don't love yourself, everything you're feeling is dopamine, adrenaline, serotonin, oxytocin. So, but I had love confused for oxytocin and dopamine, and sometimes adrenaline,
And toss on a good sprinkling of societal expectation, which is, your relationship is working if it's this, or you got that, or you've hit this milestone, or you've come to that, you've gotten that ring finally, or whatever. And so, all of that conglomerates into it all being external. And what you're saying and what I'm saying is, and it's in here. It's little, I was thinking as you were talking, it's like when you have 2 drops of water. And it's one of those rare occasions where 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. 1 + 1, it becomes bigger. But it has to have something to sort of meld into. And that was really a big part of my journey too, was getting to that place of being able to love myself. I mean, let's connect a couple dots here, because if by my estimate, if the meaning of life is connecting with others and being able to unconditionally love them no matter what, then we want to do that all of the time. And that requires us to be authentic and to be vulnerable. Okay, so we talk about all the different shields that society will put up for us to protect our vulnerability. Those have to kind of come down. What we're opening ourselves up to is that deep-seated notion that we talked about earlier about, well, maybe I'm not lovable or maybe I'm not worthy. And so we'll either stay behind the shield or we won't engage, which of course is the intent of our life, is to engage.
Right.
So we get stuck, we get frustrated, we Band-Aid it, or we just start withering, as I started to do. So what empowers us to break down the shields and go forth? Well, we have to know fundamentally, depending on which side you're talking to, that we're going to be okay, no matter what happens, no matter what that other person does, no matter how they respond or react, whether the stranger on the street is kind or rude in return, whether or not the person who's in our family is capable of connecting with us or doesn't have the capacity, we have to know that we're going to be okay. Yeah. Well, where does that come from? It comes from what you and I were just saying, developing that well of knowledge within us that unconditional love isn't going anywhere.
Exactly.
That those resources that I need as far as both survival and thrive are within and throughout and in an energy level that's far beyond this human experience. So when we integrate that, it not only heals us to feel better from moment to moment or day to day, it also empowers us to actually succeed at what the meaning of life is.
Absolutely. Because when you love yourself, nothing's hinged anymore. You know, like you're not like, if I will finally have arrived when, or my life will be over if. None of that really exists on this plane, because it's no matter what, I know nothing external of me changes my worth or value as a human.
Right.
Nothing external of me changes the fact that I am unconditionally loved and unconditionally supported by this higher power that I believe in. Right. You know what I mean? Like I call it universe. That's what I feel really good about. But like for me, I feel fundamentally supported by this universe, that the goal was never to see how good or bad I'd be to determine the type of life I was going to have, or that I'm going to be smacked down because blah, blah, blah. Oh, I lived in a place of real fear about choices for a long time because there was a good choice and a bad choice. Right. But like, I just know that whatever steps I take, as long as I am heading towards what I'm supposed to do on this earth, and even if I don't, even on the days when I'm doubtful and I'm mad at my higher self, or I'm resentful to the universe that I'm having trouble paying a bill or whatever, whatever because that's the thing, is I try to be really open and authentic about the entrepreneurial process for me, because I want you to do it, but I want you to know that like the people making it look easy and glamorous probably aren't telling you the whole truth, But like, this is what it means to pursue yourself boldly. Yes. And it means that even on those rough days when you didn't get the external validation you wanted, whatever form that was, money, praise, downloads to your podcast, whatever, that you're still sitting in the understanding that like what you do fucking matters, and that yes, you're going to receive restrictions on this journey because that's the whole fucking point. Right. But that you just keep going, because ultimately, today wasn't a win, but tomorrow's going to be a double win. I just know it. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And, and super candid to the people who feel like maybe we're just falling into toxic positivity. We're not. No. It's both the most difficult and the easiest thing that you do. And it takes constant vigilance. And absolutely. So yes, there are days when and you feel it all. And that's the point. Like for me, depression was not that I was sad all the time. Depression was that I didn't feel anything for a long time. It was a numbness. And so emerging from that, boy, did all my sides say, oh, we're going to start feeling now. Well, get ready. Oh, I do not envy you. Yeah. And so being super grateful for, oh my God, like, I mean, I had
a thing happened, an attorney was involved, and so you could imagine, like, it was the most
Yeah.
angry I'd ever been in my entire.
Yeah.
Literally had to call my brother and be like, "What do you do with this? Like, what do you like? What is this? What is this that I feel like?" And
Yeah.
and
He's
getting through
I
it,
think that's anger.
right? Yeah, and hearing someone say, anger is the appropriate response to this situation. It is, because I was taught anger is never the appropriate response to a situation.
Thank you.
Right.
Exactly.
So yes, there is all of it, and that's what you're grateful for. And there are times, and I'm going to give a simple example of this, when it is in fact the simplest gestures that are the most profound, and that provide you with the reminders that you have all the tools. So let me give an example of what I do in this. And I always feel a little corny telling this story, but it's true. I don't count sheep when I go to sleep, when I have trouble sleeping. I sit and bring to mind the people that I care about, and I send a gratitude, and I send love to them. And it's a long list. And because I'm a visual person, I tend to do it like literally, like, oh, my friend in Miami. Oh, my friend in New York. Oh, the person who lives there. And I'll kind of go across the map, and I'll say, I really have a very basic prayer, which is, my wish for you is that you are happy and know that you are loved. And I'll do that. And people around the world, people I will never see again, people who I felt hurt me deeply, people who I pine to see again, those lost, the heartbreaks.
Yes.
And what I've found is, one, some of those people have come back in my life in surprising ways, and I'm like, oh, I think this prayer is working, because
I love that.
yeah. And not that it's all happy endings, but it's like you get a little bit of resolution to, oh, I know why people are in my life.
Yes.
And it's because I have an opportunity to send them love and happiness. And there's no expectation for me except that I'd like to get to sleep. There's no expectation that any of them would call ever again. I mean, there's someone on that list I haven't seen for 20 some odd years who was one of the most important and primary relationships in my life. And if I ever bumped into them again, it would be truly divinely sent, because I have no way of knowing or tracking any of it. And they get a prayer every night. And I believe in the energy that maybe it helps them some way. But I absolutely know the energy that it's a simple thing that I do that reminds me of my power to be authentic, fall in love when at any moment that I want to or need to, and that I have fulfilled my purpose, no matter what my day looked like, whether I feel like there was money in the checkbook, or I made the right connection, or did something stupid, or wasn't perfect. I hear you. I know that in those moments, I'm absolutely fulfilling my function in life. And I go to sleep knowing, well, whatever else happened, I did this today, and that's enough. Again, an Instagram post there, sometimes all you can do is sit still and shine.
That's so true. That's so true.
I'm tired, I'm busy, I'm over, sick, I'm whatever. I can't go out and serve the world today. Sometimes all I can do is sit and let the energy flow through me. And when I do that intentionally at the end of the night, then that day is a success. And I do it, I'm to the point of every night. It's just not that much to me.
I love that, because one of the things that I had to decide on this journey was, you get to assign the meaning to all of this. And so one of the meanings that I used to assign was, that's happening because they don't care about me as much as I care about them. And because I'm a little baby Gemini who loves fucking attention, I can get my feelings hurt really easily, just by silence, like not reaching out, and I'll make myself a victim and not reach out to you either, so that I can then count the days. I don't do that anymore, but I was really bad about it. But one thing that I decided, this was probably about like 8 months ago, that anytime I start to feel that way, like I haven't spoken to them, blah, 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 I decided that if the thought of them comes up, it's because we're both Like they're thinking positively of me, and that we're loving each other in the silence. And so I'm like, oh, we're passing each other in some place, and I'm going to send them love. And so I do a lot of that. But then also I just want to be really honest about this, because I lost my ever loving fucking mind the other night for the first time in a really long time, like really lost it, because I'm trying to help my schizophrenic brother a little bit, and his Social Security disability check has been placed on a card through a company called Direct Express, who I hate vehemently, and it is now my life's mission to take them down. So I'm trying to help him. You wait for 40 minutes, first of all, before they pick up the phone. I'm already disgruntled because I'm also sitting in a very small room with him while he's smoking cigars, and I don't feel very good physically or emotionally. I also had not eaten. And this was like at 6 o'clock at night, and I hadn't eaten a bite of food all day because it was one thing after another. And I knew better. I know who I am when I don't eat. Brother, let me tell you what. She immediately started with the rude, condescending stuff, and I was not in a place for it. And then when she was like unwilling to help him, I just lost it. And I was like, you are a literal fucking piece of shit, fucking human. I mean, I lost it at the top of my lungs to where every ounce of energy was expelled into this phone. And afterward, I was crying so hard for like an hour and a half afterwards, and was just like so upset at the situation. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna forgive myself for that, because that was a real human thing I just did.
Good step one. I love that.
I was like, I'm gonna forgive myself
for that. Right.
That's because like I fully know how I got there, both physically and emotionally. That was a really taxing experience, because why I called her a terrible human is because they won't let him access this funds. He was facing like being back on the street versus this little motel room. Okay. And so I was like, you don't care that he's literally going to be on the streets? Well, I have a buddy that works for Social Security, so I have more information now. And I'm like, oh, they literally don't care. Okay, great. They're great. So I also don't even have that much remorse for what I did, because it is what it is. I did it. It's whatever. But I'm still human. I'm very love and light. I am very love and light to the max degree that I can possibly do that each day. But some days my light's a little dim because like I'm tired, or I experienced that. And that's why yesterday morning was so hard for me, because I was still very emotionally hungover from crying so hard and from screaming that loud. Like, I mean, I was a psycho. I was a freaking psycho, but it is what it is. And so I just want to be honest about that, because I strive to be an unconditional lover at all times, but like, damn, you fuck with my brother, you know.
But life happens, and that's the thing. And I think that the troubling would be the person who was telling that story and then did it in order to bring back all of that vitriol and to bring back all of that hate and to, just live in it and stick in it and the whole thing. That stuff happens. And now you have this knowledge. What are you going to do with it? And what I hear you doing is like, okay, so what led me to that? How did I feel? Do I, and step one, forgive myself. Continue to know that I'm worthy, even though things like that happen, or the situation, like, that's really all we're expected to do as humans, is to have a commitment to growth and to be willing to do the work to be better. And, maybe in time you'll want to, if not to the situation, to that person, say something, or maybe you'll do it like I do in bed at night, where you'll just, you'll send your energy out, and that energy will go into the universe and it'll go into your heart. The difference is you're growing from it. And I think that, that numbness that I experienced was because I'd given up on that a lot, because I had, I had decided that I became cynical and I became stuck, and you were
like, what's the point?
Sure. And that didn't work, and that didn't work. And that person doesn't seem to care. And, and I shouldn't feel bad. And so this is all about me. I mean, my perfectionism was wrapped in a big blanket of self-dependence, like
hyper independent.
Yeah. I mean, the positive way of saying it is like, self-reliance, But the
Yeah.
negative side of it is like that hyper independence and isolation thing. And so
Same.
my mantra was always like, well, if you feel bad, it's your fault. And if you can't feel any better, well, then that's because you're not good enough at feeling better. And so, I mean, it was about me
Yeah.
over and over and over. And of course that gets you down. I mean, that'll exhaust you if you don't start
Yes.
saying, well, maybe it's not.
Yeah. Or like, who could help me with this? Who could I ask for help? I will
Yes.
tell you, do you still struggle with this? Because if hyper independence was your big thing, like, do you still struggle asking for help?
I'm working on it. It's something that I do a lot more, but I found even this past weekend, I had grumpy weekend, and nothing quite like what you were going through, but just a series of things and some bad feedback, and the sun hadn't been out, just grumpy weekend.
Yes.
And I had someone who specifically sort of asked, and I found that I pulled away from diving into it, which is an okay choice because sometimes
Sure.
I don't have the energy
Sometimes
to.
you don't have the energy. Exactly.
And
Well,
at
and
other
like you said,
times,
it can propel the negative energy to talk about it in certain experiences
some
too.
experiences, and maybe that was part of the person who was asking. Like it does take some trusted relationships, and those take time to build. And
Mhm.
honestly, that was a big part of my I don't know, recovery, but sort of my turnaround. What my therapist, really great listener, was able to pull a couple of key relationships out of my life and just say, well, why don't you just go have coffee with them? And then I would do that, and he would say, how did it go? And did they turn away, or were they selfish, or did they seem interested in you, or did they appreciate? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, okay, well, they don't have to do that. Like, remember. And so it literally became just starting with a couple of key people who weren't solving my problem, weren't just
Just
but just
connecting.
laying the foundation of, look, you see, if you can't believe yourself, you trust Dave, you love Jenny,
Yeah.
so the way what you see reflected in them, hold on to that for a minute, and then we'll see if we can work from there. It was a really pretty brilliant approach because I was listening to the external voices, and then I started to recognize my own because of that. It's like, oh yeah, I did say that, didn't I? And so yeah, I still have to work on that
It's
and moving.
hard.
You're
It is
right. And
hard.
sure.
Well,
And then
because
I up and
especially
left.
because my negativity bias is like, this is exactly why I don't do this every time. Every time. Every time.
Yeah.
This is exactly why. But I love that's one of the things that I was like grateful to notice, because I was like, that's what I've been telling myself. And I was telling this has been a new revelation for me, and it's almost embarrassing to admit that it took this long to understand it, but well, I was a person who's like, people should not post these things or say these things or do
Mhm.
these things because I feel this way when they
Right.
do it. And then I had to learn, like, baby girl, it's your job to create the safety within yourself, no matter what anyone around you is saying, doing,
Yes.
posting,
Right.
expressing, whatever. And so in those vulnerable conversations where now I'm receiving feedback that I didn't necessarily ask for, but that's what they are. And I do it too. I give that kind of feedback. So like, why am I expecting everyone else to sit there and have the most magical response to anything I say? Well, because I'm just afraid. And so a long time ago, I told myself that if they can't give me the best response ever, then there's no point in this. And so I just don't share. And so I'm learning kind of how to take people's feedback, and I hate it. I really do hate it. But I love it too. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
and so where I've gotten is to be very frank with them, to say, I'm probably going to have a negative reaction to anything you say. I'm just letting you know that. Please don't take it personally. Let's pause and just move past it, because it's not serious. It's me working out the kinks of this thing, because I don't share my shit. This is new. So I'm asking you to understand I'm not good at this. And so you're going to see evidence of that in about 2.5 seconds. And when that happens, please don't let it ruin our friendship. Just let me get a little loud over something. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
I feel like I'm cussing them out the way I did Direct Express Lady, but I bristle a little bit. I'll get a little spicy. And then I'm like, oh God, the shame, the blah, because see, I've never had a problem getting spicy with a person. Never.
Yeah.
But like all of the stuff that would flood me afterwards, just it never got me anywhere. So I was stuck in that cycle. And now I'm just being so honest and be like, this is me working shit out. Okay. So none of my shit's about you and your shit's not about me. So please just let me get a little loud and just stare at me like I'm, crazy. And then we'll move past it. And I'll listen. I really will.
And what you're doing there is you're asking permission to be authentically yourself, which is the greatest gift that anyone can give someone else.
Absolutely.
And you found a way to invite it rather than wonder if it's going to be there. Because the other side of this whole story, both, in it is, you get to choose what you're subject to. And if you need to do less social media, or you need to post but never read the comments, or you need to just get off the news sites for a while, then do that as well. And if you need to turn to someone and say, can I be authentic with you? And they're like afraid of you, then maybe they're not the right person. This is how we create a world around us that gives us permission to be our authentic self. And that's really the freaking goal of all of this. It is the great lesson of where I am and where I want to lead people to, which is, what is your true authentic self? And yes, it's our calling to be unconditionally loving to others. Absolutely. And it's to be present and provide feedback, however it is, to speak our truth in honest and in situations in which we're invited to do that. And it's to have opinions, and it's to want to share and want to learn and want to grow. It's all of these things that are authentic about it. It's who we love and how we love and where we are and whether or not there's a certain place in the world that makes you feel more yourself than another. It's all of these things.
Yeah.
That authenticity, and I heard you say this and I did it too. I tended to do it beforehand. I hear you saying like afterward would be the shame and the coulda, and I am such an overthinker that before I took any action, I would do all of that overthinking, which then of course led me to not take any action. Like, I finally
had both.
Yeah.
Usually the spicy would be a reactivity because I was very reactive, just living in survival mode.
Right.
But like small tasks, I would talk myself out of it immediately, or I want to hang out with so-and-so because I love the way I feel when I'm around them. And then 3 reasons automatically why that wasn't a good idea. Or I need to go talk to somebody about this, 75 things that make this not okay. If it wasn't a reaction, I could talk myself out of everything. And I did. I had a lot of catastrophic thinking too.
Okay.
Like everything was going to be the worst case scenario.
Oh, sure. And I know some people who are listening are identifying exactly with your journey and maybe see some of them. See, my thing was conflict avoidance. See, I was raised in a household where anger and conflict were never safe. And so I just avoided it like crazy. And so my overthinking was, well, if I said that, and then it might lead to, well, maybe I just shouldn't say anything.
Yeah. So, you were super repressed.
Oh, without a doubt. And and what became difficult, what became sad about that was it became not just things that might cause conflict as far as like the way people are behaving or like, let's just say politics, which is an obvious one. I eventually got to the point where I didn't want to offer my opinion about a movie or a TV show or the food or whatever, because it was like, I don't want anybody to think that I'm not grateful, or I don't want anybody to think that, I didn't love everything, or, I wouldn't want anybody to feel bad about whatever. And it's just like, and it just got smaller and smaller and smaller and less and less authentic. And it was just like, to the point where I was numb about, everything. About everything.
Yeah.
And so that's the journey, is to return to, and I'm a pretty smart guy. I can justify my opinions. It's not like I just throw stuff out there. It's like if people are willing to engage, I could tell you why I thought that movie really sucked. And I can get down, if you really want to, like, because I'm a writer and I actually have film is a thing. Like, I could tell you down to the scene. I could tell you shots that I thought were a bad choice. But it's like, but I let all of that go for a really long time. Like, no, I don't have any opinion. Everybody just. It's all fine.
I'm go with the flow. I'm breezy.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, right. I'm that guy that everybody likes because I don't make any waves. And then I found out, no, actually I'm wallpaper. Like I'm the guy that no one's paying attention to because he never makes any waves. And it hurt. And it hurt me deeply, and I didn't even know how much it was hurting me. And then until I really, took a chance. So anyway, the moral of that story is authenticity, just getting back to.
And I love the way you framed that. Honestly, that's going to help me to remember to keep being me and truthful, and but it is coming from a place of love and compassion for myself, and not spite, and not reactivity, and not whatever. Yes, sometimes the initial is a reaction, and I if I were a perfect person, that wouldn't happen. But I'm learning how to manage triggers, and you triggered me, and that's that.
Yeah, right.
And
that's what I love about it. You're not just being authentic about your opinion. See, that's where some people get stuck. I'm allowed to think what I think and say what I say wherever I want to say it. And that's all you need to know. No, what you need to know is I'm working on how I communicate. I'm saying these things because I want a dialogue. I'm interested in your opinion too. I may not come across like you're engaging in a process that so many people just don't want to do. And that's where we get stuck as a society, which is, we get to that point where I'm allowed to, and I can, and I have a right to, period. It's like, well, can we put a comma there and say, because I am looking to create dialogue, want to learn more about myself, care about your experience, am hoping for the best outcome, agree with you that, that we're all seeking the best for our children. Find that common ground, do whatever it takes, and be authentically you in that, but not just for the sake of you.
Right.
Put a comma there, put a so that, and then understand why you behave the way you behave, or why you're willing to press through bad behavior or press through someone else's bad behavior. Like, okay, and then take away bad, because that's a judgment, and say press through someone else's behavior. And then you get, right. And then that's where we go. And
the most beautiful gift that you can give yourself, and to get the most beautiful gifts out of this life, comes with the understanding that the more you love yourself, the more you see yourself, the more you will see and love others. And that is when you start to sing Kumbaya.
Right.
You can start to envision a world full of love and compassion when that's what you're leading with. And when you can look at another person and go, yeah, I do that too.
Mm-hmm.
But I can forgive myself. I can forgive you. It's fine.
That.
Like it's all fine.
Right. And let's put a really fine point on it. When that's happening for you, you're not envisioning a world in which that's happening. You're living in a world in which that's happening. And one of the things that I tell people in the midst of all of this chaos and all of the whatever's going on, all of that, part of my journey was to release the things that I don't really know much about, or that aren't mine to do. Look to your right, look to your left. That's your world.
Yeah.
And when you have love and compassion there, then you are living in a world of love and compassion. And this notion of like, well, someday I'll live in a world of love and compassion. No. You create it for yourself, and you will be living there. And that should be our goal.
Absolutely. Because I tell all my clients, when you change, the world around you changes. When you raise your energy, my household's changed infinitely since I got better, and that's all I can hope for. That's how you ripple, I do want to make a global impact, but I am making a huge impact in my circle, know?
Right. And that's how we're going to do it, for sure.
Man, I've had such a good time with you. I cannot say thank you enough. This was so great. I really hope there is a way to stay connected and even collaborate in the future. Mama lives in the Midwest. Sort of. I'm in Oklahoma. The Midwest doesn't claim us, but it's fine.
Okay, that's right. That's the middle. You're in the middle.
That you want, like a final word, anything like that before you go?
No, all the ways to connect are in the bio that you're printing out. Everybody can track me down on Instagram. I got all that stuff too,
And I'll provide links to all of that in my show notes.
The final word is, I absolutely believe that you're doing the best you can. And as long as you believe that too, then, just keep going and know that what you're looking for is out there. And there's lots of techniques, and my program and these podcasts, and lots of ways to remind yourself. Some people put a little string around their wrist, some people meditate just find something. I mean, I've been doing temporary tattoos because I'm too much of a wuss to get a permanent one. But I'll get a be here now temporary tattoo.
I love that.
I have a thing on your wall. Just find some way, whether it's that thing when you're going to sleep, or a picture that you see going out the door every day, or something. I had a sticker on I found it. It was a clothing tag, and on one side was the brand, and on the other side it was a piece of cardboard that said "Love yourself." And I was like, well, that's good. And so I just put that on the dashboard. Yes. These things, they're not silly. They're not hokey. These are the little ways that we just do a little better in any given moment. And that's all we're looking for.
That is all we're looking for. You're exactly right. Man, thank you. This has just been so good for me.
Well, it's been a delight. I mean, it's just a wonder. And yes, let's do it again in this format or in another, or find an audience somehow.
I'm open to whatever you want, man. I'm all down for collaborating.
Okay, cool. I'm coming to Oklahoma. We'll figure it out.
All right. Well, it's Say Wednesday. Have a wonderful Wednesday.
I will. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, make sure you've given the show a 5-star rating on whatever platform you're listening to if you haven't already. And check out my website, empoweredwithmelissahepner.org, or my link tree on Instagram at melissa.hepner to check out my latest offers or workshops. Emotionally unavailable. All right, that's it from me. So make sure that you check out the show notes for links. And until next time, let's all just keep swimming. Emotionally unavailable.
INDEPE and cut.